Las Cruces. On November 8th, the city will ask you to consider a new round of general obligation bond questions. These GO bond questions could result in improvements to city parks, a new fire station, Phase 2 of the East Mesa Recreation Complex, and affordable housing. Your tax rate will not increase if these GO bond projects are approved. Make sure to vote November 8th. Visit lascruces.gov for more information.
Looking for more information on the 2022 GO Bond? Watch our Ask the series of interviews with local experts to get your questions answered. We'll discuss improvements to city parks, a new Fire Station 9, Phase 2 of the East Mesa Recreation Complex, and affordable housing.
I'd like to call the meeting of Thursday, November 17th, the Animal Services Center of the Mesilla Valley Board of Directors to order. If you all would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Becky, if you would please help in determining a quorum.
Board Member Ward.
Present.
Board Member Enriquez is absent. Board Member Macias. Present. Board Member Flores.
Present.
Board Member Ellens is absent. Board Member Gandara is absent. Board Member Sanchez is absent. Chair Caron.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Becky.
Madam Chair.
Please.
If I could just note for the record that the reason that the county commissioners aren't present is because there's a conflicting, and I believe that that applies to Councillor Gandara as well. There's a conflicting meeting with South Central Solid Waste.
Yes, and we rescheduled this at a time that it wouldn't usually be on our calendar. So yeah, thank you for putting that in the record. There is a conflicting meeting, so thank you. I would entertain any changes to the agenda. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Moved by Board Member Macias.
Second by Flores.
Seconded by Board Member Flores. Is your thing working, Mary? Okay, just wanted to check and make sure that you could still get the red light on. Thank you. It was moved by Board Member Macias and seconded by Board Member Flores. Becky, please.
Board Member Ward.
Yes.
Board Member Macias.
Yes.
Board Member Flores.
Yes.
Chair Caron.
Yes.
Thank you.
Up next, we have the approval of the minutes from the board meeting we held just a few weeks ago, October 27th on 2022. I hope I'll give you a few seconds to look over this and entertain any motions to amend or approve the minutes.
I would move to approve the minutes, Madam Chair.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Board Member Macias and seconded by Board Member Flores. Any discussion? Notes? Okay.
Board Member Ward.
Yes.
Board Member Macias.
Yes.
Board Member Flores.
Yes.
Chair Caron.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have special guests, and I really appreciate that we're moving on to reports and presentations. So the folks from the Spay and Neuter Action Program are here to present this morning. So thank you for being with us. Please come on up, and we'll help you get, I don't know, yes, you do have a presentation there ready. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to see you, Michelle.
Good to see you too.
Please say your name for the record, even though we know you and you're
My name is
reputation?
Michelle Correa, and I am currently serving as the Assistant Director for the Spay Neuter Action Program. I have some handouts for you all, which is basically just a reiteration of this very short presentation, along with our newsletter, which is hot off the press, and just a little flyer that we hand out to all of our clients. I haven't done this in a while, so bear with me.
You can press F5, but that mouse is also wild.
Ah, here we go. Thank you. So this is just a basic overview of the number of spays and neuters that have been done through SNAP for about a 10-year period. Obviously, we're still in the midst of 2022, but we're kind of getting toward the end. And these numbers tally up to a little over 14,500 spays and neuters collectively. SNAP was in operation prior to 2012, but I was not able to collect that information in time for this meeting, but still really good numbers. I think based on the numbers that we're showing for 2022 thus far, we're probably going to hit the 1,300 mark by the end of the year. So we're doing really good. So far for 2022, we're about 50-50 between city and county. County's got a little bit higher percentage of dogs and cats that have been sterilized than the city, but right now we're at 1,119 as of the 15th of November. And cats are doing pretty good. We've always historically done more dogs, I think, but cats are quickly starting to catch up. And this is who we serve. We basically serve low-income families in Las Cruces and Donna Ana County. They qualify based on their HUD, their low income. We qualify them by the HUD income guidelines per their family size. Qualifying city residents and residents who live in incorporated areas of the county, they pay a copay, and it's a very reasonable copay when you look at the pricing that our veterinarians charge. They do a great service to us, and but their prices go up just like everybody else's. So the copays, we try to keep them as low as we can to serve our low-income community. The qualifying county residents who live in unincorporated areas of Donna Ana County do not have a copay. They also receive a voucher for a rabies shot and a microchip if needed. These services are provided as a result of SNAP receiving funding from Donna Ana County for this purpose. So the process. There's various ways that folks can contact us. They can call us, they can come in person to the office, or they can send us an email. We ask a few questions to quickly determine if they are eligible for the service. After qualifying them, and depending on their physical address, the clients will receive the appropriate application. And again, they either receive that in person, they receive it via what we call snail mail or email. They complete the application and return it along with the supporting documentation. And they can receive up to 6 vouchers a year to be redeemed at our local participating veterinarians, which the Animal Service Center is one of those participants, to get their dogs and cats sterilized. And then at the end of the month, all the participating service providers return those redeemed vouchers, and that's how they get paid. And this is how we can be reached. Our address is still the same. We've been at the same place for some time now. We are open Tuesday through Friday from 11 to 3. They can give us a call. We do have a lot of voicemails when we come in the mornings that we follow up on. We have a website, and we also have a very active email. So there's a variety of ways that we can be reached. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Thank you. I'm sure that there are questions from the board. Please, Board Member Macias.
Thank you, Madam
Or
Chair.
Board Member Flores, sorry, I didn't see your thing.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Ms. Carella. I just want to thank you for the presentation, for your work, because it looks like something is working. So I appreciate that very much.
Thank you, and
Thank
we
you, Madam
appreciate
Chair.
all the support. We appreciate it very much.
You're welcome.
Board Member Macias, please.
I'd just like to put on the record in terms of the county's support and sense of a really good turnaround in terms of the investment and the return that we're receiving in the investment. We have I think, a very strong partnership with SNAP, and we've always been very supportive, and our contribution and our support has increased over the period of time. So I want to congratulate you on the numbers reached certainly in 2022, and I see that there have been higher numbers, and I understand, still issues related to the pandemic that may have kept some of the numbers
Yes.
lower. But is there a master base of information in terms of the number of animals that go through a spay or neutering process throughout the county? Is there some way to have a better sense in terms of total numbers of animals? Because, again, it's been our perspective that the greater the number that we can spay or neuter, the greater assistance that we're providing to the Animal Services Center in terms of keeping the population as reduced as possible. But is there that database that you know of out there?
Is this in addition to the work that SNAP is doing?
Yes. What's going on in the vet offices, is there any tracking of the overall county-wide effort from whatever source?
Not that I'm aware of, but I myself am very interested in that data as well. So I know that we have good data. We have some data from ASCMV, and I think that, I think some of the veterinarians might be willing to at least give us some basic numbers, averages perhaps, on what they are doing monthly. So I think we could at least get some sense of a total number, and I would be willing to try and get that information because it's of interest, to all of us who work in animal advocacy, to see if we're headed in the right direction.
Okay, great. We can continue that dialogue. I'd like to provide whatever support that we could in terms of outreach to whatever source that is providing these services in the community. I'm sure we can get all of the information from the Animal Services Center, and I'm sure that they have a significant number as well.
Yes.
And I'll ask about that in one of the later presentations. But I wondered how much the private sector is providing.
I think that data is probably maybe not to an exact number, but I think we could get a sense of what's going on. And again, we so appreciate your support in what we're doing. We are making a difference.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Macias. Any other? I also am very curious about that. I would be curious also about the denominator, which I think is the part that we're always chasing, and literally and figuratively in that equation. That is the percent of animals in our county that are spayed or neutered. And so the numerator really determines what the denominator is in that equation, but I think that would be something that we collectively could all look for.
We really missed our opportunity when we didn't include it in the census tracking. We could have asked, how many animals do you have in your home?
And are they, you're right.
How many are?
So, Michelle, I really want to thank you for this and your contributions, and I do appreciate all the work that you've done. And in particular, I think you've changed all of our thinking about TNR. So just as far as homages to you go, I think I really appreciate your ongoing advocacy and support. I'm curious, and I say this as a person from the city, knowing that the county does contribute significantly to you all's sort of thing. I'm curious, what structural factors do you feel like would increase the capacity of SNAP, or us collectively, and not only through SNAP, but through a range of things, keep us from getting ahead of this problem that we have? Do you think, and your experience in all of those domains? I'm curious.
Well, from where I stand and with all of the things that I've dealt with these past years with advocacy in general, and with SNAP more recently, we have a severe veterinary shortage in this community. Our vets are currently booking out 6 to 8 weeks in advance. We're now booking out into January for surgeries. So it doesn't matter how many clients you're able to bring in if you can't get those surgeries done. The gestation period for both a dog and a cat, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, is about 60 to 63 days for both dogs and cats. And so if you can't get those surgeries done, you can have a bigger issue. So it's a nationwide problem. But to me, that is our biggest hurdle, is just getting more veterinarians in here. If I could figure out a way to get a vet school here, we're an ag college. I would love to see a veterinary school here, but I don't have the slightest idea how to make that happen. I know it takes a lot of money and influence to get that done, but we could sure use one here, and then we would have veterinarians, but that's what we need.
Thank you. I was a little bit afraid that you would affirm that, which has been part of our conversations for a long time, because I think we are thinking about how to use. I don't want to say that money is no object, but I do think,
Yes.
Certainly the cities, there are things coming down from the state where we're trying to sort of recoup some money related to taxes and other things related to that. I think those things are all in progress, but if we're at capacity of the vets in our community, it's really hard to envision a different way. Not that I'm feeling despondent about that, but it is a real problem, and I think.
Yeah, and SNAP specifically doesn't do necessarily the trap, neuter, release. We don't deal with that population as much as I would love to. I understand the logic behind that, because again, we're already really dealing with a population that is having scheduling issues as it is. So adding TNR to that just kind of complicates things. So, the hope is that we will get more veterinary services here, more, TNR capacity, which we really, really need. But, we'll kind of see how things are going forward. And, we would love to eventually maybe work with the city and get something similar to what we're able to do with the county, but we're doing the best we can to serve that population, and again, we're keeping our co-pays as low as we can to try and serve that demographic. So we're moving along.
No, I think that it's great, and I appreciate that, and I hope that we can consider that in the future.
Yes.
I also hope that, I think it's really tough to be in a situation where people want to make a change in a moment, and it's kind of like, well, let us figure out in 6 to 8 weeks how we can help you make that change, and it's kind of a missed opportunity, but it has to do with our structural capacity to make that change. So I really appreciate the follow-up that you all do. I know it's really intensive, so thank you again. Any other questions? For all of your advocacy, Michelle, I really appreciate seeing you and you presenting today on behalf of the coalition. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay. All right. Next up, we would like to hear from the ACOs. Lieutenant Wiedela, looks like, starting off. Okay. Come on up. Thank you.
like looking for the right one. Good morning, board members. Lieutenant Wiedela for the record. I am here to present the city animal control report for the month of October. We had 530 reported stray animals for October 2022. 283 of those were gone on arrival. 205 stray animals were apprehended. 215 strays impounded at the shelter. 32 successful field returns. 6 unsuccessful attempted field returns, for a total of 38 identifiable stray animals. As you can see, as far as reported stray animals, we did increase this last month from 2021 and 2020, where we were up to 530 versus the 462 and the 453 respectively. As far as our field return to owner comparison, we were a bit down from the last 2 months, comparable to the last 2 years as well, where again, for October this year, we had 32. In previous years, it was 44 and 35. As far as our community cat program, we have, again, this is a new chart that was started as a result of the TNR initiative. What we would like to see is the green and blue eventually like switching up as we continue on with this program. As far as the cat and trap calls that we had for this last month, we had 42 of those specific calls. When we were on scene and actually got to the cat, we discovered that 7 of those cats were already community cats and we're able to release them back to the community. Here are our reasons for owner releasing of animals. So this is where they contact the animal control officer and they say, hey, I can no longer take care of my dog or cat. 5 were that the owner could not have the dog in the confined space that they were living in. 2 were because they had too many of the dogs and the owner were unable to rehome them. 1 was because the dog killed a family cat. 1 was because it was a puppy and it was too playful for the older dog. 1 was aggressive towards other pets and family members. 1 was due to old age. Another one was due to old age at a euthanasia request. 1 was a dangerous dog admittance, and 1 cat because it bit the owner. Here are our reasons that the animal control officers were unable to field return to owner. So this is where they would scan the actual pet, but for whatever reason, they couldn't return that pet to its owner. So 2 of them, the chips were not registered. 2, no contact by the phone or at the residence. 1, the actual owner was running errands instead that they would pick the animal up from the shelter. And then 1, the owner was at work. Any questions?
Thank you, Lieutenant. Questions? Board Member Flores, please.
Again, thank you so much. It's nice to see you, Lieutenant. Thank you.
It's good to see you all as well.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up, Chris. Yep, you're good. Please. Come on up. Good morning. Good to see you too.
Good morning. My name is Brian Halsey. I'm the caseworker for Donana County Animal Control. Let's see. There it is. Okay, I'm here to present the October 2022 Donana County Animal Control monthly report. So for our reported stray animals, we had 268 stray animals. Out of those animals, we were able to pick up 237 stray animals. We ended up picking up 103 stray cats and 134 stray dogs. We had 9 sick or injured animals. We had more cats than dogs this month. We had 6 cats and 3 dogs. And we had 9 owner surrenders, which was good to see because we usually have way more. We usually have double digits, so it was good to see it not so many. This is our reported stray animal calls for the last 4 years. They're pretty much staying roughly about where they are every year. We're staying within our averages. Unfortunately, I'd like to see those go down, but that's about where we're at. This is our 4-year field return to owner comparison chart. For October, we had 25. And these are our additional animals that we picked up. We had 2 owners surrendered cats, 7 owners surrendered dogs. We had 9 sick or injured animals. We had 1 welfare hold. We had 0 neglect, abuse, or cruelties. We had 9 shelter quarantines, 3 home quarantines. We had 2 dogs that were picked up for a livestock attack case, and currently we have 8 animals being held awaiting trials and court proceedings, and we had 1 rabies submission that turned to be negative. These are our districts that we go through. And per district, this is our breakdown for October. For cats and dogs in District 1, we had 5. In District 2, cats and dogs, we had 41. In District 3, we had 31. In District 4, which is usually one of our highest ones, is 67. District 5, we had 30. District 6, we had an uptick in cats for this month. We had some people starting to just, trap cats that were up there by Santa Teresa area. And then in District 7, we had 44. This is our stray cats picked up by district. Again, just another note for you guys. In District 7, we started to see a lot more numbers. We've been in that area a lot more this last month, and so we were able to get and find more animals. So our numbers in District 7 is going to be a little bit higher this month as well. This is our dogs that were picked up. And our reasons for owner surrenders. We had 1 that was not getting along with the other dogs in the house. We had 4 for vicious or livestock attacks. We had 2 where the owner were deceased, and no family members were able to rehome the animal, or 2 animals. And then we had 2 for being aggressive. And at that, I'll stand for questions.
Thank you very much, Officer Halsey. Any questions? Board Member Flores, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much for your presentation. District 3 is the East Mesa, is that correct?
Yeah, so District 3 is like Butterfield, Oregon, White Sands Missile Range, all through that area.
Yeah, and the stats usually show that that's one of the highest areas of, animals that are reported loose or whatever, but it was really low this time around. Do you know why, or does anybody speculate, or is there any data?
If I had to speculate, usually around wintertime, for some reason up in that area, the animals don't seem to get out as much as far as like the dogs and stuff. I don't know if it's because it's the cold weather or people keep their dogs in more in that area. I don't know. But it seems like every year when it gets colder, that area doesn't become as big of an issue for us. It's usually District 4 or District 7 where we usually see the uptick.
And District 7 is down?
Chaparral.
Chaparral.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Board Member Flores. Thank you again, Brian. No other questions? All right, thank you. Next up, Director Thacker, please. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam
Good to
Chair.
see you.
Good morning, Board. Clint Thacker, Executive Director, Animal Service Center, Mesilla Valley. To present to you today the October numbers for the Animal Service Center. Currently, yesterday, we had 505 animals at the center. As you can see, 374 cats. I'm sorry, in 2020, there was 374. 2021, there was 508. So we're sitting right around at that 500 mark. This was troubling when I first saw this, and you're going to see this number continue, or you're going to see why this number was so troubling as we get further in the presentation. 845 animal intake. When you look at 2021, we had 651. So it's just going up right where we were before the pandemic. So we're looking at 447 dogs and 394 cats. So this is a new slide that we put in. It dawned on me while I was looking through this yesterday that we have the way the animals go out of the center, but we don't have the way that the animals come into the center. So I thought you might like to see how that over 800 animals came into the center. So 11.8% owner surrender. The returns are really low, 1%. Seized or welfare hold was 4%. But by the public, strays coming in 26%, so a quarter of all of our animals are coming from strays by the public, and then 56.8% was coming in by ACOs. And that could be whether it's stray or owner surrender. It's just being brought in by animal control is 56%, almost 57%. These are our returns. So a total of 6 dogs, 2 cats, anywhere between behavior problems, landlord doesn't allow, other pets incompatible. Again, we always talk to them, try to have a conversation, and try to mitigate as much as possible these animals that are coming in. Diverted intakes, these, again, for those watching for the first time, these are animals that are brought to the center for some reason, and our front staff diverts them from not coming in. So it could be somebody who has found a stray animal, and so we say, you know, instead of bringing it to us, why don't we fill out a found report? So we have that here at the center, and take the dog for a walk, go knock on doors, go find out, see if you can in your area. And if they agree with that, that's great. That's a diverted intake. If they say, no, we can't, there's no way, of course we take the animal. Again, if cats, they say they're not using the litter box, we'll explain to them, we'll show them. We have paperwork and everything that they can do, tricks they can do. Just try to keep the animal in the home if the individual is willing. All right, so this is the outcome. We had 177 adoptions, so 20.9%, 11% reclaims and rescues. Community cats was 16.5%, and then euthanasia was a 36.8%, almost 37%. So as we're looking, that's that big number that I told you about, the 800 and so intake. 36% of that was euthanized. And so we have a live release rate of 62%. It's the lowest one we've had in a while, but when we're looking at the issues at the center, as far as population-wise, we are no longer going to be warehousing animals, as we call it. And just having a high number like 505 is still, the quality of care is at risk. So we want to keep it lower, so we have to euthanize more, and that's going to be in the next slide, I believe. Oh, no, this is transfers. So we had 93 total transfers leaving the center. Special thanks to, again, our locals like Action Program for Animals, Cherish Canines, doing an amazing job of keeping our animals here locally and helping out. Some of our ones far off, like Front Range, taking 27 cats, that's a huge help. So this is the euthanasia reasons. Again, so if it says space and then the reason why, that's because the whole purpose why we looked at that animal was because we were out of space, but it's because medically the individual animal is not doing well. So if we had space, we would hold on to them longer and try to do more, but because we didn't have space, those animals had to be euthanized. So that's the highest reason for dogs, was space medical. Medical respiratory signs, TX means treatment. So they were under treatment, but there was respiratory signs, and the highest for that is the cats. Next highest is medical respiratory signs, non-responsive or not responding to the treatment. So that's the next category. Next one is the failure to thrive. Again, most likely these are the kittens that are brought in. Generally what it is somebody thinks they're being a good Samaritan and they see kittens alone. So they bring kittens in, and over the weekend or the next day, they bring them to us. They haven't eaten. People usually don't know what it takes to care for kittens. And so by the time we get them, they have no strength anymore. They won't nurse, they won't have any desire, or they're just failure to thriving. So we euthanize them. And then the next reason for dogs is parvo, a non-treatment. That doesn't mean that we don't treat for parvo. What it means is the animal had clinical signs of parvo, when we have to euthanize at that point, because there's no space at the center right now for treatment for parvo. And the next reason down is the aggressive dog for the behavior. Our surgeries, talking with our medical director, her goal is 400 every month. And as you can see, she hit her goal last month in October at 404. To date, 3,781 surgeries. Just phenomenal what they're doing there in our surgical area. Total visitors had a great uptick, 1,791 to the center. This is a slide showing the next one will show walk-ins, but this is by appointment. As you can see, we had 103 appointments that were made. 6 didn't show up, but that ended up with 61 adoptions. So 59% of our appointments being made resulted in the animal being adopted. Whereas we look at walk-ins, people just walking in, 307 groups that came in. So a group could be anywhere from 1 person to 7 people. We're just throwing a number out there. But usually it's between 2 to 3 people. It ended up in 56 adoptions, so only 18%. Yes?
That was my mistake. I didn't change the bottom one. The actual percentage was the 29.6.
Oh, 29.6%. Thank you. Volunteers, the total volunteers was 674 hours with 375 volunteers. One thing that they do a fantastic job of is the dog walking team. Every month they have a goal to walk every single dog in the center that is available to be walked. So they do a fantastic job of that. It's our webpage views, 37,252. Now, this was an interesting one. So our Facebook views shot up 6,282. We have to confirm and make sure that they're still counting it the same. We didn't do anything very different. The only thing I can think of is our firefighter calendar that went out. I think that might be it. So we did have some great things going. We announced our December 4th drive-through clinic there towards the end of October. So it could be any number of those things. And speaking of, our drive-through clinic is December 4th. It's going to be at the Field of Dreams, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And as always, we're excited for it. It's going to be a lot of work on our end. However, so much payoff. If you remember, it's thousands of vaccines that we get done. We like to thank Jane's Corporation. They're the contractor that is building the new center. We approached them, and they're going to sponsor $1,000 worth of microchips. And then also the ASA architects are the ones who designed the new center. They're also doing $1,000. So we have $2,000 in microchips that are going to be free for the public. I believe that's 200 microchips. So we're excited for them. We're very grateful for them bringing that on. Okay, we'll stand for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Clint. That's grim, frankly, but
it is. And I think Madam Chair, we're going to continue to see that. We just can't the standard of care just drops significantly, the value of care, once we have a high population in the center. We are doing our best. The new center, when we open up, will help a little bit. But as long as we have a high population, sickness is a lot more there, stress is a lot more there. When they'll add those all up, you get sick animals, which means animals aren't being adopted. So it's just a constant struggle that we're facing there.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Board Member Flores, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to thank you, Clint. I know that there's a lot of adversity at times from the community, but I know that you're working hard, and I want to thank you for your presentation today and for your work, as well as Bernice. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And I do want to add that the slide that we added in was my thinking at, I think, 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So thank you for Bernice for getting that all together and put in. I appreciate that.
Thank you, and I appreciate, oh, please, Board Member Macias. Oh, okay. I was just going to say, I appreciate you all in increasing the amount of, I know that more data means more work for you in terms of counting, and that also goes for the ACOs, so I really appreciate you all coming and trying to communicate all of the efforts that are happening in ways that help us see both, you know, the extraordinary effort and the extraordinary breadth of the problem that we face. So thank you both for doing that, and to our ACOs as well. Please, Board Member Macias.
Could we go back to that slide that showed the spay and neutering? Did I see the number right? 3,700 over what period of time? So if you add that to SNAP, we have identified 5,000 animals that have been spay or neutered. FY22. So that's 10
so that's
months.
Year to date.
That's 10 months worth of. So normally the 12-month period before, what was achieved during that period of time?
I don't have that in front of me, but I can get it before it's in our year-end report for last year, and I can get that to you before the meeting's over. I can just look online for that and let you know. But it should be pretty close to, I mean, we have 2 more months, and she's usually really good about hitting her 400 mark. So another 800.
So how long does an animal have to be there at the center before they're eligible or before they're either spay or neutered?
Yes, sir. So it depends. You got to understand that these are not just sterilization surgeries. These could be any type of surgeries that are happening. So we have to figure that in, as well as all different types. So we have somebody coming in to redeem their animal, but it's not sterilized. So they take a higher priority than animals that are there at the center waiting to get sterilized up for adoption. And then we have animals that are already adopted that need to be sterilized. So while the majority of these animals or these surgeries are sterilization surgeries, there's still a small percentage that aren't. And then also we have to prioritize which ones are coming in and add TNR into that now too, what we're doing. So it is a mixed batch. So as you can see, 164 TNR, 99 adoptions, 56 was the shelter foster animals, and then 85 were other for the 404. And I was just told by Bernice that 85, the other, includes SNAP surgeries and other rescues that are bringing surgeries to us.
Oh, I see. So you take some of the coupons from SNAP.
Yes. Yeah, there are, when we started our public, when we brought it back up, opened it back up, our public surgeries, that was how we did it, is working through SNAP, because we wanted to get to the low income individuals that qualified for that, so we could help them the most.
Okay, so if I understood you correctly, there is a priority given to animals that are being returned to their owner or being adopted?
Yes. So yes, the return to owner is the highest, I would say, because they're waiting for their animals to come back to them. They've paid the fees, so that would be the highest priority for them.
So do you have an average or just a sense of how long an animal is there before they are, I've never liked the term sterilized, but if you're using it and that's the terminology, before they're sterilized?
I don't, because it all depends on the animal. I can get the information for you. I can do that, but off the top of my head, I don't have an answer for you. I'd be afraid to reach out and grab something because I know it might be wrong. Because we have different categories. So if you're asking the average length of time an animal stays there prior to sterilization in our adoption program, then I can get that for you. But there's also a return to owner category, how long an animal stays there before they're redeemed by their owner. That's another one. So there's different categories. There's not just one that says on average for everything.
Okay, but I'm assuming that an owner can only have their animal there for a certain period of time, a set period of time before then it's no longer their property, or
Correct.
before you take action on the animal.
But they can take it anytime they want. So we can have we've had an animal there a month before, and they come and somebody says, oh, that's my animal, and they redeem it and they pay all the fees that were there. So it's always available for the owner to come redeem their animal, but at some point it would be ours after that 5-day stay.
So does an animal come into the shelter and then leave without being sterilized?
Very rarely now. Used to, I would say yes, because we had the foster to adopt program. But now the answer is no. Only if they're very young or they're very sick, they can't have sterilization surgery.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Macias. Any other questions? No? Thank you, Clint. I appreciate that. All right, next up we have committee reports, and the Finance Committee, ACM Enriquez is not here, but I do think that we have folks from the Finance Department. Thank you. Good morning for being here.
Good morning.
Please. Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Liam Beasley. I'm a senior accountant with the city's finance department. And just as an FYI, we didn't have the finance committee meeting this month. It would normally be the third Thursday, so today, but due to scheduling conflicts, it hasn't occurred. So I'll be covering the monthly financial report for October of 2022. On the first slide, we have the highlights for the statement of net position. Cash was $1,059,625, as were the total assets. Liabilities was $114,563. Revenue collected in advance was $261,397, and the unassigned fund balance was $683,665. For the changes in net position, the total revenues through October was $1,558,666. And the expenditures were $1,176,675, and that resulted in a net increase of $381,991. And here's the budget to actual comparison for the changes in net position. Total budgeted revenues are at $4,151,375. And through October, the revenues ended up being 37.5% of that budget. For expenditures, the budget is $4,287,850. And through October, there's been 27.4% that has been expended so far. And the budget parameter for October is 33 1/3%. Here's the month-to-month comparison for revenues and expenditures. As you can see, between September and October, revenues stayed about the same, and there was a $130,000 decrease in expenditures, and that was mostly due to the fact that in September, we had 3 pay periods that posted, and in October, it was just 2. And then here's a breakdown of that $1.2 million in expenditures. So salary made up 55%, benefits were 19%, temp services 2%, repairs and maintenance 0.5%, services were 14%, supplies and insurance were 4% each, other was 1%, and then capital was 0.6%. And that concludes the financials, and I can take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Liam. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, thank you. And just as a note, the city is currently undergoing its auditing process. Yes, sorry, this might be putting you on the spot.
No, yes, ma'am, that's correct.
And so this afternoon, we have an exit interview with the auditors regarding the ASCMV's financials, just to make it transparent that that you all are also going through that process. So thank you again, Liam. Also, Amaya's eyes, man, they get me every time. Her eyes are, I know. She looks really smart. Thank you, Liam. Next up, athletic. Yeah, like if you wanted someone to run with you. Mm-hmm.
Amaya, maybe I should adopt her. You know, I've been looking for a long time.
Have you? I didn't know this. Yeah. I consider myself a matchmaker, so please, Clint.
It's just so much going on in my life.
We'll include a free calendar with firefighters on it. So, just saying. If I could just hijack the meeting really quick, I wanted to let Mr. Macias know that in 2021, we did 4,030 surgeries. Trap neuter return was our highest with 1,311. Shelter animals, in other words, animals there at the shelter that needed to be sterilized prior to adoption, was 889. Adoption animals, so they've already adopted and they're not sterilized at the time of adoption, was 824. Rescue animals was 389. SNAP surgeries was 304. Return to owners was 184, and other surgeries was 129.
Add that up.
4,030.
Oh, I see. We're giving a breakdown of the 4,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just going back to Amaya. Sorry. Go ahead, Board Member Macias. I don't know if you have more questions.
I would not interfere in a matchmaking effort.
Just to put it out there, she does look really smart, and I have a lot of confidence in my ability to train her. I could hold on to her for a week and make her into a ring bearer by next Friday, if that's what you need. I'm just saying.
Look at it.
Oh, wow. What can I say? You've left me speechless, anyhow. Councilor Curran, Chair Curran,
please.
may I? Those are impressive numbers. Kudos to you and the staff and the doc and all the technical pieces that play into that. I wonder if this would be helpful to share that data individually, rather, because it gets lost in that report. And how many of us? We read the end of year report, but I'm asking to publicly put that out a lot, because I just feel like you don't get enough kudos for the work that you do. We always hear the negative about, or that we are not doing enough. And I want folks to realize that this is taxpayer dollars, hard at work, and this is an important aspect, I think, of what you do. So if you would do that in a way that really highlights that on your social media accounts, and maybe a nice letter to the editor, I think those all would be very, very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a good suggestion. We do have a great relationship with Bulletin and other local publications. It is also done daily in our daily report. We report how many surgeries that are done. And also, whenever I do a report or presentation, I always review the previous year's numbers, and surgery is always one of them. But I'm saying we can absolutely put that on Facebook, on other ones. We can show pictures of our surgical staff. I appreciate you saying thanks to me, but I mean, overall, it's Dr. Haddon and her crew that do amazing work.
I know. I think I said to the doc and the staff,
Yes.
and I really mean it. And,
Yeah.
you know, she's hardly ever here in the staff because they're so busy. But if you pass that on, I'm so grateful for all the work and just the population in there that you have to deal with. I think it's just easy for us on the dais to say, oh, what about this and what about that? And people who don't have, the day-to-day operations, you know, to offer up suggestions and stuff. And not only is it for you, but I mean all our rescues, they play such a huge part in it. And I just, well, you know, that's my gratitude moment for the month of November. I recognize it. We may not say it enough, but I want to be really clear that I'm very thankful and grateful for Dr. Haddon and staff's work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Gandara. Board Member Flores, please.
Ditto.
Thank you. It is the month of gratitude, and so thank you very much, Clint. Please extend that. Next up, the Executive Committee. We did meet. Clint and I met November 1st. We talked about setting up a formalized sort of system, or formalizing a system that kind of informally already existed related to Clint's travel, and also made a quasi-plan or had a discussion. Clint's really been taking care of this, so thank you, about the sort of strategic planning session that we have coming up November 30th as a friendly reminder from 2 to 4 here at the city. But just as a friendly reminder, we have that on the agenda, and we spent some time talking about how that's going to go. So that's it for the Executive Committee, unless you wanted to add anything.
I just want to let you know that we have an individual from Best Friends coming to talk to us about strategic planning on the 30th. She's done several of them. I don't think when I told her, well, it's from 2 to 4, she kind of says, oh boy, it's not a very much time to do it. But I told her, I said, if we can get a rough outline and get us started on something, especially some of the higher points we want, and then a budget together of what that will take. That will get the ball rolling for me, and I'll be able to meet with each committee and be able to talk also in each board meeting about the process where we're at for that. So I will at the very least get us started on a strategic plan. So I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you. I am too.
Excuse
Please,
me.
Board Member Macias.
What is the date that was mentioned?
The November 30th, Thursday. Right? From 2 to 4.
And Ms. Macias, if you don't have it on your calendar, let me know and I'll get you an invite. Okay.
Thank you. All right, next up, facilities report. I don't know if you all have. Board Member Gandara.
Sorry we didn't meet. I think it was canceled, so I'm going to defer to Clint.
Thank you. Our facilities is actually looking really well right now. The existing facility, just again, preventative maintenance is the biggest one that we're working through for our drains. That continues to be an ongoing good thing that's occurring. We do have some issues with our vehicles right now, that especially a large white transport van. Hopefully we have that addressed with City Fleet that's working with us on that. It did break down on somebody as they were traveling, and it gave it has a blocked fuel pump, it keeps saying, but every time we take it in, they said, Fleet says it's okay, and then we take it and drive it, and it gives us the same error. So we're working on that. An email was sent yesterday by our maintenance individual, so we're glad that he's on that. The new center is coming right along. They updated us on the past meeting. We're at 89% now. We've been at 87% for quite a while, but we're updated to 89. Some of the things are going in now are kind of exciting. Landscaping, the rock is being poured. We have the awning, the large covering for the parking area for the 3 washout ports has been erected. A lot of the fencing has gone up. We still have a completion date of December 27th. And in our meeting, I made it clear, and I asked a very specific question of when will ASCMV be able to move into the building? And they said December 27th, you'll be able to be in the building. However, there won't be any dog kennels because they're still a ways out, which they're saying is out of their control, and it is. So, and also some of the cat cages as well. However, we'll be able to get some people, we'll be able to get the front end, we can do licensing, we do adoptions, there's a lot of stuff that we can still do out of the new building. So we're excited for that move-in to occur and happen. And I think it actually be a blessing in disguise, because as we get in there, we won't have the whole production at the center as we're figuring out the flow of how we want to do it. You know, the little stuff of shelves, and it'd be nice to have something here, have something there. We do have quite a bit to purchase still, so you're going to see our expenditures up. We have exam tables and stainless steel kennels and just some larger ticket items that we have to purchase to get them in. Dishwasher purchased, and shelving, really big ones. But overall, we're excited to be in there.
Thank you. It's exciting. So, all right. Thank you. That wraps up the committee reports. Next up is public input. I will follow the tradition of starting on my left. Anyone? No? All right. Seeing no public input. Next up is chair and board comments. And so I will start with Board Member Ward.
Just real quick, I would just want to let the board know and the community know that Doñana County Animal Control's ordinance has been revised and was approved by the Board of County Commissioners. And so that new ordinance will go into effect November the 28th. So we will start enforcing that new ordinance. What is it exactly? It's got some changes to it. It's there's some minor changes, and then there's some sections that allow for more enforcement for the officers in regards to like animals killing livestock and that type of thing. That's it.
Board Member Gandara, did you have a question about?
I do, and a recommendation. Thank you for that. I think that's important. What I would ask and recommend that we have a segment as part of this meeting to go over those and compare and contrast from the city and county. I think Councilor Board Member Flores asked, that question, like, what are the changes kind of thing. I think it'd be helpful to know what those are, and that the public that it's on record, the public is informed, I think is what I would like to see.
Madam Chair,
please.
What we can easily do is basically get all of the changes, compare them to what their counterparts in the city to see if there's any kind of difference, and basically submit a report to the chair and to the committee members. I think we can do that pretty expeditiously.
Okay, thank you. That would be great. But I would say high level sort of things. It doesn't have to be any kind of very elaborate, and not to create a bunch of extra work for anyone. But with the big picture. Thank you. Board Member Macias? No comments? Thank you. Board Member Flores? No? Board Member Gandara?
Thank you. I was quadruple booked this morning, so trying to meet the needs of all my boards and commissions. We had closed sessions, so I apologize for being late. And just again to extend my gratitude, a happy Thanksgiving, or whatever kind of thankful event that you do at the end of the month, and just to say that I'm still on the fence about whether I'm able to attend the strategic planning event. I will know here probably in the next few days, and I will put an email out to you, Chair Curran and Clint. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, that leaves, I think, my last comments. I would say that I did have the opportunity to talk to the Humane Society on their podcast for November, so that was delightful. And they gave a tiny preview of the upcoming sort of promotion that they're partnering with the ASCMV with in terms of making adoptions available to the community for in the month of December. So more on that soon. But otherwise, thank you again. Our gratitude for all the work that you do, Clint, Joy, Brian, Board Member Ward. I know that you all are out there doing this, thinking about this, working on things. Michelle, in every aspect. So I really appreciate the cross-section at this meeting to see what an extraordinary community effort we're putting into this in our city and county. So thank you. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. The next meeting, again, is December 22nd. It is kind of a holiday meeting. The expectation, let me just put the norms out there, is that you will be wearing an ugly sweater, and in my opinion, you get extra credit if there is an animal on the ugly sweater. So since we are meeting in December, ugly sweaters, please. All right. A motion to adjourn, please.
So moved by Flores.
Second, Gandara.
Becky, please.
Board Member Ward?
Yes.
Board Member Macias? Yes. Board Member Flores?
Yes.
Board Member Gandara?
Yes.
Chair Coran?
Yes.
We're adjourned.